The ancient Greeks had a term, umbilicus mundi. Umbilicus mundi. You might be able to determine from the origin of those words what it meant. It's something like navel of the world, center of the world. To them, they thought that Delphi was the umbilicus mundi. What do we think today? Where is it? Mecca? The Vatican? Jerusalem? Maybe someplace in Tibet. Maybe Washington, D.C. Where is the center of the world? Home is where you are. It's right here. It's not over there. It's here, and it's now. It didn't happen 50 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, or 3. It's not sometime in the future. It's right here. It's right now. This is the umbilicus mundi, the center of our world. So important to know that. If we think it's someplace else, perhaps we're not having the living embodied experience of that. We don't know it for ourselves. We're not being that for ourselves and the world in which we live. And it turns out our world needs that. Well, if you don't know where the center is, if you think it's in Washington or Mecca or Jerusalem, you don't know that it's right here with you, in you, and that you and I have a responsibility to be that center, to bring the gravity of that center here and now. It's not someplace else. It's right here. It's right here and it's right now. If you think the center of things was 50 or 100 or a couple of thousand years ago, you're not knowing the center right here and now. Sometimes people look back, believing that there were better days, that we have to somehow recapture better days in the past, that we need to somehow revive and live again. That's called conservatism. Conservatism, an attempt to find something of value in the past and somehow live there, recover it, make it happen again. There's a profound fallacy in that way of thinking. And that fallacy is based in the fact that that is not how time works. Time just doesn't work like that. You cannot go back. No, we've arrived here in this present moment. We are here in this present moment. It has always been thus. And right here in this present moment is something to be known and discovered. It's not about going back to something. And likewise, we could be looking to some visionary, lofty future, trying to live into that future. Again, that's not how time works. We are planted here and now. This is here and now the umbilicus mundi, the center of things. Something magical happens. Time works right for us when we discover this. And lineage works right for us. Our lineage serves us. We play our part in our lineage. Being present here and now. All that is from the past that could serve what is happening here and now comes rushing to greet us, not because we're chasing after it, but because we are here and it has come to meet us. All the vision, all the leadership, all the heroism, comes rushing to meet us. All the truth that's been revealed over the ages comes rushing to meet us and greets us here and now in this moment, if we will just be here and receive it and be open to it. And we're empowered by our lineage, not because we're chasing after it in the past, but because we're standing proudly in the present. And likewise, when we're standing proudly in the present, what is coming to meet us out of our future is welcomed. The unformed shape of our future comes and takes shape in the present if we will be open to it and let it come. Not because we're chasing after it, but because we're present at the center of the world, here and now. This is perhaps interesting existential philosophy or something. And yet, underneath what I'm talking about are vital factors related to our own lives and how this world is working. We have a world that's hoodwinked, not to stand in the power of being here and now, hoodwinked to believe that the power is in Washington, Mecca, Jerusalem, or someplace else. It isn't. It's here and now. There's another Mundi expression, axis mundi, axis mundi, which relates to the poem. The axis is the vertical line around which something revolves, yes? The gyre, the axis, the Earth's axis. And so there is this term, axis mundi. It's represented by symbology throughout history and all kinds of spirituality. The maypole, for instance, is a reference to, an embodiment of, a symbol of the axis mundi, the reality which is mostly invisible, around which things revolve. The Earth's axis is certainly invisible, and the axis for our world is invisible. You cannot see it. And yet there is this vertical axis that intersects the line of time, the lineage in which we're living. So if we're here and now, in the present, we're standing at the center point of our lineage, yes? Right? With our past behind us, and then the future in front of us. We're standing right at that center point. And at that center point, the axis mundi intersects. There is something from above that comes through that axis. You might say from the invisible realms, the heavenly realms. There's power and activation, inspiration, and order that comes to us in the here and now, and then can be brought into the world in which we live. And then that world can revolve around that axis. That axis establishes a crossover point in the world of space and time, yes? It intersects with lineage. And at that point that it intersects is the crossover point. And so when we are knowing that axis in ourselves in the present, there is a reality around which our world can revolve. As it said in Genesis, the earth was without form and darkness was on the face of the deep. Pretty good description of our future as it comes to us, yes? Don't necessarily see all the forms of what's going to happen. Things start to show themselves when it comes nearer. But there's an order, there's an ordering power in the present moment when we stand there and welcome that future that's coming, not pretending that it isn't. When the axis mundi is present, We are knowing that, we are being that. We're bringing an ordering power to creation, to all of creation.